Boom! Three-peats, Chiefs magic, crazy officiating in the NFL, the Eagles going ham. We're going to be talking about all of this today. Welcome back to the Fanbase Podcast, where we break it down with just enough snark, heartbreak, and even some conspiracy theories, Marty.
That's right, folks. If you love greatness, we've got Mahomes. If you love heartbreak, we've got Buffalo. And if you're blaming someone else for your problems, we've got the refs. Plus, new to the squad, the South Chicago chef himself, Nick Farr, joins this episode, and you cannot wait to watch him elevate your tailgate. So, let's get into it.
Get ready, sports fans. The fan base is here. It's the show where heartbreak meets hilarity. We're roasting your rivals. We're hyping the home team. And we're turning sports disaster into comedy gold with your hosts, Fat McAfee, Marty McDonald, the other fat guy, Travis Wright, and the bald guy, Steve Moser. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble. But don't fumble. It's the fan base. Welcome back, Fanbase family. We are here for episode 3. Maybe it's a three-peat, maybe it's not, but it's fun regardless. We're great and glad that you're here. I was going to say grateful, but I just stopped right after great. Marty, how are you doing? Are you great today, buddy?
I'm great. I'm always great. And it's good to be alongside you, Travis Wright.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I didn't call you Fat McAfee this time. I felt obligated to not say that because I've been working on my Abdullah Oblongata, Marty.
We got to stay on brand. And speaking of brands and staying on them, we've got Bald Rudd, a.k.a. Steve Moser, with us in the house. And then Fat Pitt, we get another new partner in crime. We got the...
Yeah. He doesn't have a fat nickname yet, but I'll tell you what he does have. He's got a hell of a resume when it comes to cooking. He's a former baseball player, and he's been on the cooking show. What's the show he's been on?
Yeah, he's been on the cooking show, right? On the Cooking Network, right?
No, the cooking show on that one thing with Guy Fieri. He was doing that. But I'll tell you what, dude, he is hilarious. He's full of life, and you're going to see him and be introduced to Nick a little bit later on there, yeah?
Yep, that's a.k.a. the South Chicago chef, and Nick Farr is his name, and we do have his 22andMe ancestry test has confirmed he is Guy Fieri's long-lost brother. So I think you guys are going to love our tailgate segments going forward. They have officially been Flavortown certified.
Hey, wait a second. Isn't it 23andMe? Are you saying Nick is missing a chromosome?
I cannot confirm or deny those innuendos at this time.
He is a Bears fan, folks. He is a Bears fan. So that might be true.
It's been a minute.
Hey, let's talk football. Mama said foosball's the devil.
Hey, we had a little football game this past weekend. It was the NFC Championship. We had the Washington Commanders, a.k.a. the Washington Redskins, going against the Philadelphia Eagles. And it was a full-on ass-kicking, right? Eagles took down the Commanders 55-23. Woo! Man, we did all that work to pimp up and prop up Jaden Daniels, but he didn't come
I'll tell you
through.
this, though. He's a real one. He is a rookie, right? But I tell you what, from his progression, we talked about last week, his progression from when he was at ASU over to LSU, those 2 seasons weren't so great. But then he started doing the VR, and his last season was good enough to win the Heisman. And then he had he's Rookie of the Year. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that he's Rookie of the Year. An amazing run. But, oh, my goodness, it took him, 17, 18 plays in that first drive, Marty, to get 3 points? Is that right?
It was tough. It was a time clock killing drive, and meanwhile, handoff score. And so Philly was just a machine.
Dude, 1 play to Barkley, and that thing was gone. Tutty. Boom. 60-something yards, I believe. That was insane. And I think he had 3 touchdowns for the day, 118 yards. And then Hurts so good, baby. He had 3 rushing tutties. That guy is, and I thought he was hurt too. But what's crazy is he had 3 rushing yards and three rushing tutties in like 16 yards. So he was getting those small ones. And really, the Commanders imploded, bro. 4 turnovers. They gave them 4 turnovers, dude. You're not going to win. 4 turnovers equals 4 tutties for the Eagles. And that's really essentially the difference in the game because the Eagles won by what, 32 points? That's crazy.
Yeah, they logged the most ever points in an NFC title game, so it was kind of crazy. And I think for me, the funniest moment though was Redskins or Commanders linebacker Frankie Louvu, who prematurely shot across the line and instantly became an internet meme on Twitter and other social channels this
Yeah.
week. And the funniest one that I saw was, that moment when you get a little too excited when she takes off her coat and right across. So it's kind of funny.
I
But I did hear,
believe I can fly. Yeah.
right? It
Yeah.
probably remind you of yourself back in high school, right?
Dude, yeah, I was dunking it, dude. I was jumping over the line. I was not doing any of that.
No, you were just premature. But
That's
what was
good.
kind of
Now, how
funny,
did you know? Did you talk to the Big Red? No?
yeah,
The
I
different Big
talked
Red.
to Ted. I talked to Ted. He told me everything. But what was funny though is the Eagles announced today that Frankie Louvu is actually going to be doing the flyover for the Super Bowl. So that's going to be fun to see.
Wow.
I don't know.
Wow.
Maybe Chris and or post production can get Frankie Louvo just like flying across our screen
That'll
as
be
we're doing this segment. But who knows? Who knows?
that was funny watching that guy. And they were like, if you keep doing this, we're gonna have to award them a tutty, right? Because it was like it just every time half the distance to the goal, and you get into the point where we're talking about microns, bro. You're like, you are at the goal, man. And so it was weird. I don't even know what kind of mental games the Eagle just hike the ball, dude. We all know you're gonna do the tush push. That's the only thing that's in your repertoire at this point, right? I saw, I don't remember the exact stats, but I recall them enough where I think Saquon got like 13, 14 touchdowns this year rushing, and then Hurts got one more than that because it's those tush pushes. So realistically, in my mind, most of those should have been Barkley's. And if Barkley has 20, 22 touchdowns, he's clearly the MVP. He's
Oh,
the
got it.
only one of the MVP potential people they talk about being MVPs that's going to be in the Super Bowl, baby.
Yeah, no, Barkley is he's a hell of a talent. The Chiefs have got their hands full, frankly, when they see him. But I know Spags will get a defensive game plan that you can't stop Saquon. You can only hope to contain him. I think
Well, I'll
that
tell
was
you this. We'll talk more about the Chiefs coming up, but James Cook was every time they handed him the ball, dude, he looked hungry. You know what I mean? Like he was getting his yards. And so if the Chiefs are not able to stop Barkley, then that's how that Super Bowl is going to end. Now, the Eagles have their 3 main receivers that they had when they played in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago against the Chiefs, and they have a better defense now than they did. They've drafted all of these Georgia Bulldogs, right? So they've gotten better. Now, the only thing they're really missing from that team is Jason Kelsey, but it seemed to me that their center, Nickerson, and that other dude, like they're just as good. So it's like they have a huge offensive line, Marty. Huge.
Oh, monster. It's like if you put 6 of you together and you got a left tackle.
It's like a half of one of me, actually. But I just want
Yeah.
to say, it's so crazy that a couple years ago we got a Super Bowl of the Eagles and the Chiefs. Last year we got a repeat of the Chiefs and the 49ers. And I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to get the same result. You keep thinking they keep sending these same teams to play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And man, it's a whole other league it's a whole other time when you start bringing these teams to the Chiefs in the playoffs. The Chiefs just seem to level up. And as we get into this next segment, it is just wild, like how our coaching is and how they've been together for so long and how the
Totally.
coach, it's going to be wild. But Spags is going to have something to put on the Eagles. Like he always has something up his sleeve. And the Chiefs haven't ran a whole bunch of crazy plays this year. So it should be
No.
interesting to see what happens on that.
No, I agree, and I think one of the big advantage that's going to go in the direction of KC is the Eagles won't have their raucous fan base backing up the team.
Dude,
In fact,
they will. I'll tell you, I was at that Super Bowl with my son in Phoenix, and it seemed like it was 60% of the fan base were Eagles. Either that or they're just way loud. But right there at the end of the game, dude, they were all gone. They just like, they're going to talk shit, then they lose, and then they're gone. They're in misery, and they're quiet, and they just go away. It was the weirdest thing, dude. They were so many. And I think it might have been because I was on, my son and I, Jarek, we were on the Chiefs end zone side, but we were kind of off at about a 45-degree angle. We were up about 25 rows. And I think so we were kind of where the Chiefs were, but in front of us, it just like I was like, oh my God, there are so many Eagles fans here. So they're hungry. The Eagles want to see a Super Bowl win, and they would love nothing else than to get that against the Chiefs. But I want to show this, Marty. Boom. This just came today. Look how quick that is. That was nice, isn't it?
Super Bowl licks hat. Nice.
Super Bowl licks, baby. Boom. There we go.
There you go.
Anything else about this before we wrap up this segment?
No, I think it's going to be a hell of a Super Bowl, and we'll get into it more in our episode 4, our Super Bowl preview. But
let's go talk about this for the Philadelphia fans, dude. Like, it's weird. They're climbing up and down poles. They oil the poles up, dude. Last time I saw the poles being oiled up like that is like at a strip club. Like, I don't know. It's like or maybe Justin Tucker when he's at a massage parlor. Let's talk about the AFC Championship, guys.
Yeah, let's get into it. Because that's apparently what the Chiefs are now to everybody else in the NFL is just a bunch of jerk-offs. Travis, what did you see?
Well, I'll tell you what. It's 7 times in a row the Chiefs have made it to the AFC Championship. And then, I was born in 1973. I didn't see any AFC Championship up until the Bills and the Chiefs played in 1993. I think it was probably January of 1994 when that game took place, when Montana was up there. And 1994, Chiefs did not make it to another big game like that until 2018 when they played the Patriots at Arrowhead. Now, 7 years in a row, we've had an AFC Championship. So it feels like it's kind of spoiled, bro. Like, really, it's almost like, wow, here it is again. This is crazy. And think about this. The Patriots did it 8 times in a row. So it's like we're at a time. It's crazy greatness. And I think here's the issue. And a lot of people go, oh, it's the refs, it's this, it's that. Dude, Andy Reid and Spags and Tobe have known each other for 40 plus years, right?
Yep.
That is a triumvirate unlike anything we've ever seen in sports. And then to have Andy Reid have Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback, which is like he's been waiting his whole career to have a guy like Mahomes. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, Mahomes is kind of like the playoff Patrick is like a movie horror villain. You can't kill him. You think you could stop him. He comes back. And, Buffalo tried to kill him. They couldn't. And he's always finding a way to be the last guy standing. And look, I'll shoot it straight. Were there questionable calls? Maybe. Probably. But Buffalo was down by 3, got the ball back with 3 minutes and 33 seconds, and they had a shot to win that game. On the road, beating Mahomes, any Buffalo fan, any Buffalo coach and player would have taken that opportunity. Say, yeah, I'm down by 3 with that kind of clock. I got Josh Allen, Superman under center. I got Cook in the backfield. I got Kincaid. I got Amari. I got Mac Wacko Hollins, right?
Yeah.
Khalil Shakir. Like,
dude, I got to throw this out there. So whenever they remember, you see Mac Hollins when he walked into the game, he was dressed like Animal from the Muppets, barefoot. Yeah. He had on pants that looked like they were torn. He had a chain around his neck. He had a big old Animal Muppet, his full mascot head on. How do you feel when he left the game and he had to wear that shit back on the bus after they lost? Like,
I'm pretty sure he was in Buffalo athletic leisure attire.
Oh my goodness! Was he wearing? Yeah, he was wearing. Maybe they gave him some other clothes. Like, how do you leave with that? Like, yeah, sorry, we lost, but here's my Muppet mask. Like, that was just such a weird thing, dude.
That's crazy. Steve, what was your take on the game?
I probably shouldn't get that drunk. when I watched it. I don't know. I got kind of drunk. I don't really remember the game very well. But
Oh, yeah.
The two teams played. One was Buffalo, one was Kansas City.
That is good. That's spoken like a true fan base right there.
Yeah.
You admitted to it. I like that. I probably shouldn't have gotten so drunk. I think
I'm
a
here
lot
for
of people out
sports
there
history.
like
I'm here. I'm the sports history guy. No, you know that play where they went for it and didn't get it on fourth down, where they just run like I
the
don't know.
tush
That's
push again. They just
yeah.
kept doing the tush push and it wasn't working.
And Philadelphia does
Kept
that, but to
you kept
me,
going over the left side, like, hello, we know you're going that side. And every time they would stop it and they didn't swap it up. Like, why would they do the same? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. And they did it how many times? How many times they do it? Like, it's 5 times?
It was 5 times total.
Yeah.
As a Chiefs fan, right? I'll be the first to admit this game is played way too fast for human eyes at certain moments.
Yeah.
There is still that little element. It's kind of like getting a hot dog at a baseball game where you got the vintage chains. We're going to use the chains to set this.
We don't
We're
need that anymore.
Human eyes to spot that ball.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The title game I thought was great.
I do want, before we get into that though, I do like that the refs run everything and the salty tears. But I want to say this is that, you know, the coach of the Bills, McDermott, he was chasing points early, right? And so they were down. Did they miss an extra point? Something happened. I don't know. I think they missed an extra point or something early on, right? And so they didn't have that point. So then whenever they scored another touchdown, or I think they had a field goal or something, but then they went for a 2 instead of just kicking the extra point. And then later, and then they missed that 2. And so then they had another one. So like, oh, well, we better get that 2. And then they missed that one. And then so the Chiefs said, okay, well, we're up by this, so let's go ahead and go for 2. The Chiefs got it. That's 3 points. If they weren't chasing the points, if they would have gone for it, then what would have been at that end of the game is it would have been 29-29, and they would have had an opportunity to go for the win. But instead, their coach was chasing points. And when you chase points early in the game, that comes back to bite you in the ass. And so you're going to cry about the refs. Have your coach not chase points. He always chases points. And guess what? They never end up beating the Chiefs in these important games in the playoffs. And I think during the regular season, what happens is Coach Reed will come in and he'll say, okay, here's kind of a more lackadaisical game plan. So you don't get to see what we're going to show you in the postseason. And then the postseason comes and they act like, wow, we weren't expecting that. Yeah, because you're being out coached. And you don't chase points, Marty. Quit chasing points.
Damn it, McDermott.
I'm gonna tell you.
And that's a conversation that Bills Mafia needs to have, but you guys don't want to have it. So
that's what I would say. And I would say, you know, I want this to be as legitimate as possible. I want all the calls to be great. I think if it's a 15-yard penalty, it should be reviewable by the booth. And anybody should be like, no, that's not really pick that up. Okay, the call's been picked up.
100%.
They don't have that. If it's a 15-yard penalty, it should be overruled by technology every time.
100%.
That's what I think. So suck it, refs. And I guess we're going to get into talking about the refs, but it's really part of that whole thing is the refs and the chefs. Refs, Marty, they ruin everything. Or at least the ref-tarded say that's the case. What do you think?
You know, the whole everybody's saying, the NFL has become the WWE. It's rigged and blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the script writing in the WWE is better than it is in the NFL. You know, I think this last weekend we had the fourth down controversy. You know, Allen was marked short.
Mm-hmm. Which we should use the chip in the football. That solves that.
Good. And you had the far side official that was coming in and kind of giving an award, but then the near side guy was like, no, you're short. And Allen was holding the ball up here. Literally, if he had the ball centered to his body, it's a first down. Okay. But hey, the call is what the call was. And then Xavier Worthy, holy smokes. I mean, it's a dual possession catch. It was a catch by rule, by definition, simultaneous possession in the NFL. It goes to the offense, and that's a rule. You might not like the rule.
Yeah, I didn't like that call at all because to me, it looked like the defender grabbed it and then because Worthy just had one hand on it, and then it hit the ground, and they called it a catch. But it seemed to me that was irrelevant because there was a flag on the play anyway, right? So that's the thing that most people don't talk about. So I don't care if it was a catch or not. I wish they would have said no catch, and they should have taken the penalty. What do you think, Mo?
It was pass interference. Didn't need to be a catch.
Right. So that's what they should have done. Pass interference.
He should have had the ball for 20 instead of the 6, and they still got a touchdown. But
yeah, I think the call was going to be a holding call against Kelsey. I think it was one of the Bills linebackers. I'm forgetting his name right now. So all it did
would they have then canceled each other's out? There was 2 flags on the play, or no?
No,
it was holding on Kelsey.
No,
it was one play. It was one flag. You could have made the argument on that play between the Bills DB and Worthy that there could have been DPI. But what the brilliant thing, and I talked to an official friend of mine who does some college football. He said that the fact when the ball hit the ground and Worthy had possession and the ball didn't move is what cemented it by legal true definition as a simultaneous possession.
Right.
It didn't seem to
me that he had it, though, until it hit him, and then he rolled and it hit the ground. I don't know. It is. You can see why they would want to make it debatable, and that's why I think that if I was a ref in that scenario, I would have said no catch, penalty on whatever, and they would have had the penalty. That's what I probably would have said, but I'm not ref-tarded, so I don't know.
Yeah. All I know is that, Dave Portnoy lost $1 million on this game, and, he's been fueling all this chatter, and I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Dave.
Dude, a lot of these sports pundits have been talking about, like, the Chiefs. Dude, they did it during the Texans game. They did it multiple times during the regular season. And I'll tell you what, like, this season has been full of just plays, last-minute plays, last drive plays. One crazy thing happens, and it just caused a sort of a domino effect. Like, even when you start way back at the beginning of the year, like that first game, I think, versus the Ravens, and that dude just his toe was just a little bit over the line. It's like, oh, don't wear black cleats, bro. You got white lines everywhere. Wear white shoes. That's one of the reasons why you very rarely will see a Kansas City Chief wearing black shoes. They don't allow black shoes. You have white shoes because all the lines are white, and white lines matter.
Yep. You got to know the rules better than the author. It's like former Chiefs kicker Lawrence Tynes was out on Twitter this week showcasing the famous holding call that was legit hold by Philadelphia on Juju Smith-Schuster in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And because the Chiefs are now known to be wearing their white tops for the Super Bowl, basically Lawrence Tynes told the Eagles players, don't wear black gloves, wear white gloves.
Really, I do want to talk a little bit about Dave Portnoy, right? So he owns Barstool Sports. Actually, he's the El Presidente of the Stools Presidente. And, they got acquired for $450 million. So, Dave Portnoy's got some cash. But he said before the game, he invested in the Trump meme coin that Donald Trump launched, and he bought in $500,000, turned it into $1.5 million, and then sold them, took that $1 million, bet it all on the Bills to win the Super Bowl, and he would have won $6.5 million. So I wonder why he's crying about the refs. Probably because he lost $1 million and lost out on the opportunity to do that. So there you go. Suck it, Portnoy. If these walls could talk, they would say Super Bowl. So matter of fact, Marty, every time the Chiefs have been in the Super Bowl since I've been alive, because I wasn't around for Super Bowl I or Super Bowl IV, I've gotten the Super Bowl, and I got 5 of them above my TV. And this section right here, If These Walls Could Talk, is sponsored by Chapel's Sports Museum in North Kansas City. Next week, we will be there and recording for our Super Bowl show and talking about some wild moments in sports. I'm excited about that one. And so as I said, every 2-3 weeks, we will go remotely and doing live stuff in live places around the city and other cities. And I'm excited to do that with you next week there, Marty.
Yeah, we are super excited to be back at Chapel's. And I was already kind of eyeballing the menu and some of the things that we're going to do. And Chapels wants to feature their world famous pork tenderloin sandwich. So I'm already kind of hungry, but yeah,
We're gonna have our fat selves eating food. We're gonna be getting fatter, eating deliciousness.
Fat McAfee. I'm going to get this sickness weight back
I
next week.
tell you what is that, why are people fat in Kansas City? Because the food is so good. Like, seriously. Barbecue, amazing. Sports food, great. We got a lot of great food in Kansas City.
Kansas City's got some of the best Mexican food in America. I say this all the time. I travel for work just like you, Travis. And
Really? Where do you think? What, on Southwest Boulevard?
Southwest Boulevard. Then you got some great spots in KCK. Like, we might have to do like a taco roadshow or something. But
you need, when it gets a little warmer out, we're going to different places. I'm down. I love Mexican food. That is my favorite food. It's like Mexican food, Italian food, barbecue, and
Casey's got it all.
I love it, dude. Jose Peppers. I love Jose Peppers. You haven't had a chance to go there, man. That's my go-to for the Tex-Mex. I love that. So tell us, what is going on? So there's something with Joe Montana. Now, Joe Montana, when he came to Kansas City, that thing, it just took off, man. Like, wow, Joe Montana and Marcus Allen. And that's when people the Chiefs were not the villain then, boy. They were the hero. Everybody loved the Chiefs. Nobody talked shit on the Chiefs. Now, though, I'll tell you this. I was just traveling. I went to Miami to go do a keynote in Miami, and I had 4, 5 different scenarios where people were talking shit on my KC hat. Like, oh, you're a Chiefs fan, huh? I was like, dude, I live in Kansas City. They're like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, matter of fact, then I had a chance to chat with a couple of Bills fans, and I was like, actually, no, they were Steelers fans at a bar. And then I told him the Save Our Chiefs story and how that whole thing and the butterfly effect. And he was like, wow, man, that is all. Well, you are a true fan, dude. That's really cool. So it's like, once they know you, it's cool. But, dude, I always wear a KC hat everywhere I go. I've been doing it for 20 years when I go travel around. I've never had a problem. Now I'm getting people talking shit to me when I go out. It's crazy.
Yeah, believe me, I heard it when I was in New Orleans last weekend. And but on Montana and this is our favorite segment, right? If These Walls Could Talk. It's all about the history and the connection to the game. And like many of you, when nature calls and you go sit down to do your thing, you go through Twitter. And I remembered something this week.
Is that what you do when you go take a shit? You get on Shitter?
I do. I get on Shitter to read my Twitter. But I remembered this week something that I read a year ago, and it was Joe Montana's Super Bowl jersey that closed at auction for $1.2 million. Like, the previous record was a Tom Brady jersey that sold for $480,000. But what was unique about this jersey, Montana was like pretty particular. And he wore this jersey in the 85 Super Bowl as well as the 89 Super Bowl.
Oh, the same jersey. He wore the same one.
Yes. And so in 85 is when the 49ers just smoked Miami 38-16. And Dan Marino was like Josh Allen and super frustrated. But then 89 was like the real nail biter between the 49ers and the Bengals. And that's where Montana kind of pulled off that 92-yard game-winning drive. So we wanted to talk about that. And I know Moser, you being the sports buff on the squad here, like what was your reaction when you saw this segment come up?
Somebody paid $1.2 million. That's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, did they not put patches on them then? Because now they got patches and heritage.
How did the equipment people? How did they know to keep those uniforms?
Like, I don't know. We got to find an old equipment manager because the NFL wasn't commercialized in the 80s like it is today. So, you probably didn't get new shoes every game. You probably didn't get new jersey every game. Like, you probably had to make hay with it. So, but yeah, it was absolutely crazy. In fact, I think, Chris, we've got a cool little video clip here that, guys, let's just sit and watch.
We go right out on the field, and sure enough, they call a television timeout. And so we're all standing out in the huddle, and I was always an intense guy. I'm like, man, we have fought through it. We were 6-5. Man, we should be beating this team. Man, we're behind by 3. We need to score a touchdown. This is crap. What are we doing? It was the tensest time that you could ever have as a football player. This is a Super Bowl, and you're down. And Joe looks at me, and he goes, hey, H. And I go, what? And he goes, hey, check it out. And I go, what? And he goes, look down there in the other end zone. And I go, okay. He goes, you see him? I go, no. He goes, there's John Candy down there in the end zone. And sure enough, the whole huddle turns around and looks down there. There's John Candy eating popcorn at the other end of the stadium. And we're like, yeah, that is John Candy. Look at that. And then the official blows the
Nice.
whistle, and the play starts.
The 49ers have a long way to go. Montana back to throw on first down. Throws over the middle. Completes it to Craig. Craig is to the 16.
Dude, Roger Craig, that dude was that first dual threat, man. Wasn't he one of the first guys to get 1,000 yards receiving and 1,000 yards rushing in the same year, I recall? Crazy good. Dude, Joe Montana, dude. I loved watching Joe Montana play football, dude. Jerry Rice, Joe Montana and Jerry Rice was spectacular.
Completes it up the middle to Craig.
At one point, Joe looked at me and gave me a timeout signal, and I waved him off. I didn't want to take a timeout there. And he did it again. I waved him off. I had no idea he was hyperventilating.
He's like, I got to take a piss, Bill.
To the field here with the game in the balance. 16-13, the Bengals lead. Montana back to throw. Throws over the middle. A 5-yard right into the 20.
Look at that.
Ooh, look at those moves.
Wow.
They're all extensions of each other.
Everyone had different roles. They had
So why was he calling a timeout? Did he ever say why? Why
Hyperventilating.
an extension to each
huh?
He was
Oh, he was
hyperventilating.
hyperventilating? Oh, wow.
49ers will have to take a timeout.
With 39 seconds,
Wow.
Walsh called 20 halfback curl X up. It was the last play he would call as coach of the 49ers.
At the 10-yard line.
Wow.
9 seconds remaining. Back to throw Montana. Stepped up, throws.
Boom. Look at that. That was an amazing group. That was an amazing dynasty. You know, originally, weren't they like 5 for 5 at touchdown or at Super Bowls? Like they had been their first 5 Super Bowls they went to, they were undefeated, if I'm not mistaken. And now, since 2012, whenever they were in New Orleans versus the Ravens, they lost that one. Then they lost to us, and then they lost to us again. So now I think they've been to 8 Super Bowls, and they're 5 and 3 because they've lost their last 3. Which is it's the universe balancing it out, man. You know, the universe balance. So the Chiefs are like, oh my God, Chiefs! Like, dude, it's just balancing it out. Now it's like we're not even in the top. You know, we're not top of the Super Bowls yet. I mean, there's still Steelers. There's still the Patriots, the Steelers. We got the Cowboys. The Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl in 30 years. But look, they have a long-standing. You know, they've had so many Super Bowls that they've won. So we've won 4. And I think we win one more here this round, and then probably it'll be a breather. I would imagine we got to have a breather sometime. Good Lord.
At some point, yeah, we do.
Are we gonna do a 4-peat, maybe a 5-peat? I'm down with the 6-peat.
I don't know, but
I don't know if the league would be. They'd be like, screw these guys. I'm going home, you guys.
That whole story with Montana and that jersey, and just the fact it sold for what it sold for is crazy. And look. It's not like we watched that clip and you saw Montana bring the team down the field. It's not like he was running for his life or anything, but it was just an orchestrated. It was a great drive, and the Bengals had it in the bag, and then they Bengaled it.
You know, it reminds me, watching Joe Montana in the last couple minutes of a game, like, there's nothing like it from a Chiefs perspective, because it's really one of the best moments that we had a chance to hang our hats on for the longest time, since we never really won anything in the playoffs much. And it was just years and years and years of just averageness. We were totally mid for so long. But the Montana Magic, Montana Elway Monday night football game when, against Elway, and they did that last drive, and then Willie Davis got that touchdown to win it all. And he tippy-toed it in. Dude, that was the best shining moment for a Chiefs fan for probably since they won the Super Bowl back in 1970 or whatever, right? So it's like that I love Montana, dude. I will always have love for Joe Montana.
Big time. In the whole 49ers organization as well. But I guess it leaves us down to just moving into the next segment. So,
dude, not one Super Bowl. That thing was in 2 Super Bowls. That's pretty impressive, dude. I didn't actually know that. I didn't know. But that's almost like Mahomes could have worn his one in 3 Super Bowls, but each one is enshrined in its own little thing. So he hasn't done that. So, yeah. Some
That's not the
rich dude
NFL
has the
tonight.
sweaty 38-year-old sweat from Joe Montana on his jersey, I guess, huh?
Yep. I was waiting for Steve to drop that line in. So
I'm sorry. I'm trying to find things invented after 1995 for this Dallas Cowboys thing.
Oh yeah, dude, the internet really didn't even exist much, but last time 30 years is a long time. I guess let's get into this segment here. Jerry Jones
this week gifted the internet and Cowboy fans and non-Cowboy fans oh my God, saying, and it's not all smiles and glory holes. And most of us are thinking glory hole is at a truck stop somewhere off I-35, north of Kearney in a small town called Holt. But
yeah,
not
Marty
really
knows all about glory holes. He's an expert.
It's the waterfall. I'm moving right past that comment. I'm not going to give you any awareness or acknowledgement. But a glory hole is an old mining term, and it's the hole that gets created from the pressure of the waterfall.
Okay.
And
is that when you find the oil? When the oil goes big, you go, yeah.
It's also where you kind of can store stuff. So, look.
So he was pulling it back. He's pulling an old mining term out. Like, this is the glory hole where you strike the oil and spews, and instead of the other glory hole where something else strikes and spews.
Yeah, well, Jerry had a great cameo on Landman, available now for streaming on Paramount Plus, and he was actually pretty good in it. So maybe he's trying to tie into his Landman stuff. But the Cowboys have been weird because it was the Friday night news dump where they announced Brian Schottenheimer as a head coach, and then it didn't really catch into the cycles until Monday, and it's kind of blown up a little bit. But Steve, have you found anything that's been invented since the last time the Cowboys won?
Well, it says the most significant invention of 1995 is the internet.
There's a very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes. Very low percentage.
And this is not AI, right? This is real?
Whoa. That's not real.
Yeah.
That's not deep
Yeah.
sea.
It's a very low percentage of smiles and glory holes.
What do you do in your spare time?
Play it again.
There's a very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes.
Well, okay.
Very low percentage.
Here's my
Dude, that should be a song. We should make that one a song,
glory
yeah?
holes is still a low percentage? So that means there's some in there.
We're going to start off with a $5 donation. James, appreciate it. James says, guys, what's a glory hole?
That's good. Yeah, it's crazy.
James,
Glory holes,
James,
Chris.
yeah.
Can you believe that?
But
Glory holes and smiles. And what's so funny is that I didn't even realize the thing that you were talking about, Marty, like the glory hole meaning an old mining term. And I'm sure that he probably didn't realize that either. And then afterwards, he was like, oh, my God, I can't believe I said that. That is
right.
Glory holes for Jerry Jones.
Yeah. Which is our great way to introduce our song of the week.
Yes.
Which is glory holes and smiles. So set in a nice, smoky jazz environment with an upbeat swing vibe.
That's
so
true. You can hear it gently playing underneath. Now, what's great is every week we have these songs that you can hear in their entirety that we then put on with its own little sort of DJ spin. We normally put those out every Tuesday or Wednesday. We will put out that next episode. Eventually, we might start putting it out before we do the episode because as we do our prep, and then we go, oh, here's the song. Let's go ahead and do that. Smiles and glory holes. Those are some good. And then last week we had the Bob Uecker song, and then the Big Trucks and a Tiny Cock song. Like that song makes me laugh so much. The song is
they're
so
picking
funny.
up. Yeah. So yeah, we're a couple of AI DJs here at the
That
Fame.
is true. Who else brings you sort of some sports ball madness with a little bit of music to soothe your soul? Here we go.
96.9.
Yeah, 69.9.
Here we go.
Okay, taking pictures with your telephone instead of a separate camera. That happened after the last Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl.
Okay, nice.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Honestly.
fax machines were big then? Probably, right? 95 fax machines, probably.
Facsimile.
Maybe even a little bit before caller ID. Well, no, caller ID was right around then. Yeah, I remember
That
caller
was
ID.
before that,
Yeah, it was probably a little bit. Pagers, probably big, 1995.
Yep.
That's just a whole other era of time to think about.
I
Man.
remember when caller ID was invented, I had a crush on this rich girl, and I called to ask her out, but I got frozen. I just set the phone down, and then they called me back. Like, you called here? Like, I did. How did you know that?
How did you know that? What is this voodoo?
Yes.
Oh, she's got the voodoo punani. She knew. And did you get to take her out on a date?
No.
No. I don't know. Who is this? Prank caller. Why are you calling me, weirdo chick?
Yeah, that's how it works.
So, hey, here we are, you and me. Let's go ahead and chat about Moser's Moments. What do you got for us this week in sports history, Mr. Steve Moser?
All right. I'm your sports history professor. I probably should get a bow tie. That'd be kind of nice. I know that you were talking earlier in the show about Flavortown, and I can tell you I went to the College World Series last June, and we stayed at the Harrah's across the river in Council Bluffs, Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
And the restaurant in the hotel is indeed called Guy Fieri's Flavortown.
Very nice.
This week, for your first sports history moment, we're going all the way back. This is further back than we've gone before, even
this is way back.
Farther back than the invention of basketball, the last episode. In 1876, a gentleman by the name of Albert Spalding, he was a retired pitcher for the Chicago White Stockings.
Okay.
Anyway, he was having beers one night with some other retired baseball players. Like, they all agreed that the baseballs were not consistent. Like, they had different sizes and different, what do you call it, how hard they are. So it would really help if we had a uniform baseball. So he actually borrowed $800 in 1876, took out a bank loan, which in today's money is equivalent to $25,000. So be equivalent to like a small business loan, and started making baseballs, then branched out later to footballs, basketballs, golf balls, and tennis balls.
Dude, Spalding is still around today, yeah?
Still around today. And last year, the revenues were $750 million. Not quite $1 billion, but pretty close. They spun off the Callaway, bought the golf division 20 years ago, and now they're actually owned by Berkshire Hathaway Corporation.
Okay. There's the journey of Spalding Sporting Goods. So that's really it. That's really actually pretty fascinating.
Okay, 100 years ago, 1924, early February, the Summer Olympics had been so successful, so they decided, let's start a Winter Olympics. So there were the very first Winter Olympics. There were 16 countries involved. Germany was not invited because of their shenanigans in World War I. And back then, it was just called the World War. It wasn't called the World War. Yes. And Norway was the original winner. They had the most medals. The United States had 4 medals in the first Olympics.
So 101 years ago was the very first Winter Olympics. Now,
That's right.
Was there a Winter Olympics last year? Because I remember they used to have the winter and the summer in the same year, and then they split them off, and then they went, In
1994, they staggered it.
Yeah.
And they went to Lillehammer, and then so now it's coming up next February, about a year from now. Yeah.
When did did we, because with COVID they did end up not having the Olympics. Did they have the Olympics in 2021 then for the Summer Olympics, or was it 2022? When did they end up having it? 2021? That's weird. So that's going to be a weird thing when they go, and then why was this in 2021? Oh, because they had a pandemic that year, and then people were getting vaccinated for this thing, this bad flu. Crazy.
I remember watching the last summer. I'd get up. It was watching the ping pong matches at like 4 a.m. I remember just thinking, like, man, these guys are fucking good at ping pong. Yeah.
Super good at ping pong. That's like next level stuff.
It is.
All right. January 29th of the year 2000, 25 years ago, Karl Malone became the third NBA player to score 30,000 points, joining Wilt Chamberlain, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Okay. Bill Russell didn't do it. That's interesting.
No. And what's interesting about that is later this week, or maybe next week, about a week and a half or so, 4 or 5 games from now, Kevin Durant will be the 8th player who has 30,000 points.
That's
so
wild.
can you name players 4 through 7?
Probably LeBron.
Yep.
I would say Jordan.
Yes.
Larry Bird.
Nope.
No.
Julius Irving.
No.
How many do
Shaquille
we have
O'Neal.
now? Oh,
You just need 2 more. You're missing 2.
Did Kobe?
Kobe, yep.
Okay.
And I don't think you'll get the last one.
It's that one guy, Travis. It starts with the letter D.
D's nuts?
Yes, him.
He's actually he got drafted before Paul Pierce, and I remember thinking, who the hell is this guy getting drafted?
Oh, wait a second. The dude from Dallas Mavericks.
Yep.
That guy. What's his name? Dirk Nowitzki.
Dirk Diggler.
Okay.
Very nice.
And then,
Dude, you were right, actually, Marty. You said D's Dirks.
Yeah.
Dirk's nuts.
All right, these last 2, we go quick. January 29, 2018, retired soccer superstar David Beckham bought his way into the MLS with an expansion franchise in Miami called Inter Miami, and now they're already the best team in 7 years.
Right. Well, then they brought in Messi, right?
Yeah.
They were paying him a ridiculous amount of money, so that's good business.
I thought this was kind of funny because it happened on the exact same day, but February 1st of 2022, and then again February 1st, 2023, Tom Brady retires from the NFL.
Okay. Last time for the final time.
We think.
And now listening to his telecast, he might want to think about retiring again.
Well, he's now part owner of the Raiders. So it looks like they say some people are saying that he's partially running the show over there besides bowl cut guy. Mark Davis and his bowl cut.
He's the football voice over there for sure.
And it has to be the retired player guy has to be a quarterback. It can't be another position, or
I think it's the amount of money he made, bro. He made so much.
All these guys. Well, I guess Chris Collinsworth's a wide receiver.
Well, Lynch is part. Oh, but he's not really the owner. He's the GM.
No, I'm talking about the announcers on the national telecast.
Ah, okay. Well, the what was the tight end guy from the Panthers that was the one that Brady took over from?
Greg Olsen.
Oh yeah, he was way better than Brady.
Yeah, Greg Olsen's gotten.
Well, I think it's just a matter of getting your feet wet. You know, it's like you're not used to doing that. You're used to this other skill set. It takes a while, but I think that Tony Romo over time, like his first year he was great, and then after that it just seems like he's just kind of just
he's terrible now. Yeah.
He's not great. He's not great. Good stuff.
Now it's one of our favorite segments, and it's increased in popularity, right? We've gotten some messages about the cocktail of the week. And so our cocktail of the week segment is real simple. Sometimes you just have a week. Sometimes you just have a day. And sometimes you just need a cold beer. So as I learn how to properly place this, we've got a nice Modelo Negro this week for our cocktail of the week. But it's really just a tee up. So Negro Modelo is the cocktail of the week. But we've got a new fun segment. Our South Chicago chef, Nick Farr, who has been on Guys Groceries games multiple times and is a 2-time winner. He's a long-suffering Chicago sports fan. So we're really excited for this segment where we're bringing food. And we're not talking like cheap bar food or any of that silly stuff, trying to teach you how to warm up your mom's pizza rolls. We're talking like some good shit. And I think you guys are going to love Nick's first segment and what he's bringing for us from his kitchen out in Arizona. So, Nick, welcome, and show's yours, buddy.
All right, our first dish on the fan base is going to be what I call hungover sliders. You committed to have something at the tailgate, but you got fucked up the night before and didn't go get the ingredients. This is what you could go get on Sunday morning before the game starts, and make sure that everyone knows that you prepared for the tailgate. Welcome to Chicago Beef Sliders. All right, super simple to get you started. I just bought this little Castlewood roast beef, but what I did was opened it up and chopped it into small pieces. That plays way better on a slider, and all you got to do is throw this into a pot. You can get messy with it. Make sure that you got your handy dandy board scrape on the side. Once you get the beef in there, just throw a little bit of beef broth in there. I'm gonna say you don't want to cover it the entire way. You want it to come about halfway up the beef that's in there, and then throw your little bit of Italian seasonings in there. Now get this on to the stove and then just simmer it for about 10 to 15 minutes. You want to do this at home before you get to the tailgate so you can wrap this up in your Tupperware or whatever you got so that when you get to the tailgate, you can throw it on the slider. Let's go get it on the stove. While your beef's getting hot and your buns are toasting, get your caramelized onions. You could do raw as well if you want. Get your jardiniere mix. Jardiniere is a Chicago term. If you don't like jardiniere, jalapenos, banana peppers, whatever you want. But then make your little butter, Parmesan, and garlic compound to go on top. Once that beef gets hot, we're gonna throw them on. All right, super simple. We got our heated up roast beef right here. We have our Parmesan butter. We have our pickled veg, jardiniere, and then we have our caramelized onions. We got our toasted buns. Super simple. Watch this. All you got to do, make sure you just kind of like leave a little sauce on there because you got the beef broth in there. Like leave a little bit because we want them to be a little bit moist. I know people hate that word, but we want that to have a little bit of flavor left on there. Now, we want to take, I got my gloves on so that we go with our caramelized onions on the top like this. If you don't like caramelized onions, you can do raw onions. If you don't want onions at all, no big deal. So we got our caramelized onions on there like that. And then we got our house-made jardiniere. Again, buy this in a jar. If you're hungover, go to your local grocery store and just go, where's the jardiniere? They're gonna point you to it. Every grocery store has a little bit of something on there. And then we're gonna go with our white American. Yes, you can go with provolone. Provolone doesn't melt as well as the white American. I like the white American. Let's rip this one a little bit like this. Put that like that. There we go. And then we put our tops on like this. See, I already toasted those buns a little bit, but now this is where the finisher comes in. Some of this garlic Parmesan butter that goes in. So you might be asking yourself, what happens at a tailgate for this? A lot of Blackstones are at that tailgate now. You got flat tops at that tailgate. You could make this beef mixture. You could put it in your Tupperware overnight. You're drunk on Saturday night, you could make that. You could make these things on Saturday night, put them all in your Tupperware, build those sliders right when you get to the park. You're done in 10 to 15 minutes. Let's get these broiled up, and then let me show you what the end looks like. All right, and here we go. See, now you could put these to go. All you got to do is warm them up on that Blackstone. You just got to see how you kind of pull them apart. Oh, you got the cheese, you got the beef, you got the homemade jardiniere. The garlic Parmesan on top. Hell, it doesn't even matter if you're tailgating or not. Make these for the family this weekend while you're waiting to go to the Super Bowl next weekend. These are, I'm going to call it fake Italian beef Chicago sliders because we cut all the corners, but they sure are delicious. See you next week, Fanbase.
Dude, those look delicious. Dude, those things look so good. What? How do you? Was it garandari? What is that? What is that stuff? Is like
jardiniere,
like pepper relish stuff.
Oh yeah, jardiniere is a really good topping. You put on like all sorts of variety of sandwiches and whatnot. It's a staple in Chicago, and
some people love it, some people hate it. I think it just depends. I would probably put jalapenos on mine. Probably not put the jardiniere stuff on top of that. But dude, he was making that Parmesan garlic butter on the top of it. With those, dude, that thing looks so good. You know what I love the most? That Refrigerator Perry jersey he had on. That is so sweet. That is so sweet. So I was telling him, that my very first favorite team when I was a youngster, man, was watching those Chicago Bears, man. Walter Payton, I loved watching Walter Payton, because he was before Barry Sanders. Watching Walter Payton doing his things that he would do, and I was like, oh my goodness, this dude is spectacular. And I will say this, the Bears won that Super Bowl in 1985, well, actually in January 1986, and it was 46-10 over the Patriots. And Refrigerator Perry got that touchdown, and I wish Walter Payton would have got that thing because he didn't get a touchdown in a Super Bowl. And I think if anybody of any time ever deserved a Super Bowl tutty, would have been Walter Payton. Sweetness. So, dude, that was great. We're glad to have you on here, buddy. Nick, that was nice. I'm looking forward to the future recipes.
Yeah, we are too. And knowing Nick, I think he's got a few tricks up his sleeve. And as we saw in the segment, he gave us some great hacks, some corners to cut. If you got a, late Saturday night and you're trying to get out to that tailgate on Sunday, like, he's your man. And I think his next episode for Super Bowl has got a couple surprises. So
really,
it's gonna be fun.
That's good. And it's great to have Chicago Bears fan, Cubs fan, Chicago Bulls fan, Blackhawks fan. We got a true Chicagoan on board. And we're looking for other teams, fans, that we're going to want you to come on the show later on as well. So as we grow our show and grow the audience out, we're going to be reaching out to you. And who is the funniest, most passionate, smart-ass sports fan in your fan base? Let us know. We'd love to have some convos with that person.
Yeah, especially we need a hockey person, a cleat chaser, somebody in that world. We need a little hockeyness on this episode going forward. So,
and we need some fan base, fan babes. You know what I'm saying? You can't have Sports Illustrated without the booty issue. I mean, the bikini. What is it? The bikini issue? I don't know what it is. Sports Illustrated
swimsuit.
I'm just glad that we're back in the era where they don't show the. That's it for episode 3, Pete. Hopefully the Pete happens after the 3. So make sure to follow us. Make sure to subscribe, like all the things. Share your worst ref takes. Tell us why you hate the Chiefs, all the things. What are you drinking? We want to know. Next week's going to be an amazing episode because we will be talking about that Super Bowl preview, and I'm excited about that. What else we got, Marty?
I don't know. Food. Next week, we got food. We got takes. We've got salty tweets coming. Oh yes. Boy.
Salty tweets.
We're still in research mode, but
yeah. We might even have a little jingle from South Park Chef.
Oh, did we just tease episode 4 song? Uh-oh.
Well, it's probably a song that already exists. You just got to go back in the archives and remember whenever Chef had those chocolatey, delicious morsels that he would serve people. They were a little salty.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
They were kind of cylinder shaped, round.
Yeah, they're really good. People really like to put them in their mouth.
Yeah. They had a good texture.
They're really good. They're really good. Moser, you got anything else for us, good sir?
Hopefully your favorite basketball team doesn't lose a 6-point lead in the final seconds.
Right.
Is that a Jayhawks reference?
That is a Jayhawks reference to Houston, dude. They were up. Dude, we had a 6-point lead twice. We blew that shit. That was horrible.
Man, the Jayhawks suck this year.
All right. Well, thank you, Moser. Thank you, Marty. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for tuning into the show. We appreciate you guys as we grow this thing. We couldn't do this without you. If you like it, please feel free to tell a friend because that's how we're going to grow. And we really appreciate that. So we'll see you guys next time on the Fan Base.
On the Fan.
Next week.